All right, welcome to the Shamrock Green Room, your favorite podcast highlighting everything about Scotus Central Catholic and Columbus Catholic schools. Each episode, we discuss what it's like to be a Shamrock. Whether that is a current student, a teacher, an alum, or supporter, we want to hear your stories on why this is such a special place in education. I'm your host, Jon Brezenski, 1998 graduate. Today, I'm joined by Coach John Petersen. Coach has been the subject of 2 episodes in the Shamrock Green Room that you can find in the episode list, but today's a little bit different. Today, we're having Coach back, and he's joined by members of the volleyball program from 1990 through the years 2011. We're getting together to coincide with the NSSA Dynasty Award, which will be given to Scotus Volleyball on September 14th. During that 22-year span, Scotus Volleyball won 14 state championships, 5 runner-ups, 1 third place, and 1 semifinal loss. The record during that time frame was 580 and 44, a 93% winning percentage. They played in a state championship match 14 years in a row from 1993 to 2006, winning 11. The girls ranked number 1 all class in 1996 and 1998. In 2001 through 2004, the program won 115 matches in a row. So go back and listen to all those stats again. Pretty remarkable. My guests today include Coach Petersen and the following players: Megan Tooley from 1990, the 1990 team; Jody Chilha-Meekins from 1993, Carmen Burbach, 1996, Michelle Mosier, 1999, Megan Pyle-Campbell, 2001, Taylor Harsh-Clokey, 2003, Monica Boating, 2009, and Jordan Shohan-Bresser from 2011. Coach Petersen and ladies, welcome to the Shamrock Green Room.
Welcome,
Thank
Jeff.
you. Hello. Thanks for doing this.
Well, I appreciate all you guys jumping on a Zoom to make this work. This is our first time doing a big group chat, but I think it's the right time to do it. So where do we start? Where do we start with all those stats? Megan Tooley, what do you think of all that? You're kind of at the beginning of all this.
Oh my gosh. I know. Thanks for pointing that out. There's a lot of years in between. Almost a 93 winning percentage. That's pretty outstanding, Coach. You tell us how you got that done.
Right there.
Right there.
Yeah, all your girls on the screen. That's why. A lot of good players and good assistants.
You know, you all in your own way kind of impacted the program pretty remarkably, but when you kind of think about the 93% of your games and the whole program result in wins, and for the most part, everyone was involved in a state championship match at some point, winning or losing, you all made it to the final game. I mean, as you reflect back on some of those moments, what do you think of that as you kind of, your responses to a lot of these questions were really awesome and I hope you were able to kind of reflect on that a little bit. But, like Jody, after you're kind of filling those out, what do you think of all those memories?
Well, I think for the most part, when I think back at volleyball, I felt like we were always confident, and just kind of when we walked into the gym, people were like, oh, that's Columbus Scotus. They're so good. But we just had fun. And I know you asked about pressure. I don't think I didn't feel a lot of pressure probably until we were losing in the state championship in 1993 when we lost. I felt pretty bad after that match. But overall, I think the stats just kind of resemble Mr. Petersen building a foundation and a program that, once you're in it, all the coaches kind of have the same fundamentals. And I think there are high expectations, but I think that's why you get great results and great winning percentage, like, the stats on the paper. So I think it's fun to reflect back and look at our matches. And it's fun that Carmen played. Carmen was a freshman when I was a senior, and she went through that match too. I don't know, Carmen, what do you think about Grand Island Central Catholic, 1993?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that was one of the most probably devastating losses that I've ever encountered, period. And I think so much of that has to do, I kind of touched on this when I answered those questions. Like, Jody was always, my freshman year, she kind of took me under her wing. And I always say that I was the player I was because of Jody. It was it's not an easy task to come in and play as a freshman and have we had a lot of seniors on the team. And a lot of it, Coach Petersen kind of made the environment of we were all a team. And Jody, more than anything, I wanted it for you. You took me under your wing and showed me the way. And it was really hard to see those seniors go out the way they did. So that left a mark on me, and certainly was something that I was like, we're not going to let this happen again.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you didn't let it happen, which is great. And no, I just think I just wanted to treat you like I would want to be treated if I was that young. Starting as a freshman, that's overwhelming. And we had a great group, and you were a great player. So obviously, you had a great career. And yeah, I was just sad we didn't win that too.
No doubt. And we were so close.
I think I've repressed most of that game. I can't even hardly watch it. It's but that's okay. That was a kudos to Grand Island, and it's a life lesson that basically things aren't always going to go your way, and you just have to be resilient,
For sure.
And then start playing basketball, right, Coach Petersen? That's what we did.
Started right up, didn't we?
Yeah.
I remember Coach Petersen told us after that game, at least I remember him telling me this as I was crying, he said, Carmen, the sun's going to come up tomorrow. And I said, are you sure?
Jody, I will say one thing. That was I just wish I could have found a way that we could have got it done, because that was a tough one to lose. You guys had a great group of seniors that worked really hard, and you never want to lose, but you guys deserved to win that thing. We just couldn't find a way.
Oh,
11-2 in the third. Yikes.
I still remember standing at the net, and I was front middle blocker, and I remember looking at the score and thinking we're seriously like so close to this, and I could like taste it. And then I think little things, can't even pinpoint one thing, and it just slowly started slipping away, and you can't even watch it and think that really was real. I don't know, it was wild.
Megan Tooley, you were on the 90 team, and you kind of had that moment, like, your junior year, you said you guys just didn't play really well at the state tournament. Was that kind of the catalyst for your group? Because you guys were 8th graders, I think, when the 86 team won it then, right?
Yeah. I think most of us were sitting together too, like the seniors and I. Jenny Kretz, Darlene Wrinkle, Carrie Byerman, and Christy Sabota, and we're all sitting there watching those seniors. We were claiming it then. We're like, we are going to do that. So then we get to our junior year. I don't remember what our record was, but it was a good year. Made state finals. We played Sydney and lost that first game. And I just told Coach, it was just, when you don't play well, up to your level, that's probably the worst part. Had we played, lights out and got beat, then so be it. But so then the next year when we did go back to state, made finals, I think we played Sydney again. So that got him back.
We did.
And they won the year before too. So yeah.
Megan Pyle, I was reading through it. You were involved in 4. You were involved in 4 state finals, right?
Yeah, I was.
Your senior year is a Central City one, so it's kind of interesting. You guys, all great.
Let's not talk about
all
my
great
junior
players.
year.
Remember the losses, though. Unfortunately, we're talking about 93% of wins, and some of the most lasting memories of the games you guys didn't win. But again, that kind of pretty remarkable, though, Megan, that you were able to play in 4.
Yeah, I have 3 wins and 1 loss. A big loss. Jody, I feel you. I can't watch that game either. I watched it recently, and it gave me a stomachache for 2 days. 2 days. And I've lost in a national championship game, and I think I might rank that junior year volleyball as a worse loss. Just to go into it and to lose in that 3rd set, just devastating. And then we came back our senior year. We met the same team in the same arena, a lot of the same faces on the other side of the net, and it went to 3 sets yet again, and we came out on top that year. So that was a big redemption. I was sitting here thinking same thing as you, John. We're talking about a lot of the losses, but Megan, you said something about kind of it hurts worse when you play bad. I think we can all agree, at least I know a few of you that I got to play with. If we won a game and played bad, and not even talking about the state championship, just throughout the season, if we won a game and still played bad, I did not want to go to practice the next day because it was worse. It was worse than losing and deserving it, right? And you should have it just didn't go your way. But when we played bad, we knew the next day it was down to business in the gym, and we all had to come in ready to work.
Let me give you a story. We were playing in the district. I don't know if it was a second round of districts. It was at Columbus High, and we didn't play very well, but we won. So I went in there, and I guess I must have been a little, I don't know, harsh or something. Not that I ever was harsh, but I got him on him a little bit. We're walking out of the locker room. Janet Tooley, Julie Blaser. Julie says to me, "Did we win tonight?" I guess I must not have. Yeah, I think we won, but it kind of woke me up too that maybe I got to lighten up a little bit. But you want to win, you want to play well, but sometimes you don't play as well as you want to. That's the way it happens.
I think we all held ourselves to that high standard, though. I mean, I know that there was a lot of self-reflection after my games, and I knew, where I felt weak and what I needed to work on. And I think we all came into the gym ready for whatever you were going to throw at us, because we wanted to be in the state tournament. I mean, I think that's a testament to all. We were all in the stands watching I watched Carmen, I watched Jody, I watched all of you guys in those games, and had the same feeling of, I want to be there someday, right? And I was lucky enough to get to do it 4 times. So I feel very blessed for that.
Well, Taylor Harsh, your class never lost a game?
No, we didn't. Pretty crazy. Even in junior high, we didn't have any losses, which is just very fortunate and very crazy to think back on. But we had a really good group of girls, and obviously the coaching staff who always was pushing us to do better or do more. And but yeah, it is crazy to think back on how we made it from 7th grade till our senior year, and we were fortunate enough not to lose any games.
Jordan, we talked about in your podcast, it's crazy to think that your class was the last team to win one now.
I know, that is crazy. It's not like, I wish we won since then, but it seems like a long time ago. 2011. Yep. And we're undefeated that year too. And I don't know, we need another one.
Yeah, it's a process. It's a process. Well, Coach Petersen, I want you to talk about the groups before 90, because I think it's right that we at least, this program's quite remarkable from the very start. So I think if we touch on those guys just a little bit quick, and then we'll kind of jump back into this group.
The Dynasty Award is from 1990 to 2011. And I feel kind of bad because some of those teams ahead of 1990, I think they kind of set the stage for what was going to happen. My first year at Scotus was 1977. You guys weren't even born, most of you. But 1977, think about that. And we went 8-7. You don't play very many games. It wasn't tournaments and all that. And then in 1982, we went to state for the first time. I think they went, when volleyball first started at Scotus, maybe 1973. They went, and that was the first time. They said they didn't spike a ball that year. It was everything's bump, bump, bump. But anyway, so 1982, we went and had a good year. We were like 20-2 and got beat the first round, lost a heartbreaker in the first opening match. And then 85, we were state runner-up. Had a chance to, I think we got beat by, I can't even think who it is, Gehring, I think. And then in 86, we went undefeated. That was the first undefeated team we had. And we went undefeated and won the state championship. And it was like, wow. I'd been coaching volleyball for over 10 years. You can't imagine that could ever happen. And then what's happened since is really hard to believe. But, great group. 89, they went to state tournament again. So we had I think those girls deserve a lot of the credit for what happened. Megan played in 88, 89, 90, and we had good teams. We didn't get it done until 1990. But and then from then on, it's crazy what's happened. I can't even believe it.
Well, I guess girls or ladies, I should say, not girls, but sorry. When did you guys all start to kind of become or think about, okay, I want to be part of that? Or was there a moment that you kind of remember or a special moment that you remember where you were sitting in the stands, maybe in elementary school or junior high, where I want to be out there? Anybody had those moments?
I mean, I grew up watching my sister Karen play, so that was kind of always like, what my older sister did, I wanted to do. So it was kind of, sports was always kind of my thing. And then watching, the girls like after my sister and then the 86 team. So yeah, that made it easy. I'm like, I'm going to be there. I'm going to do that.
I remember all of the camps and stuff when I was in grade school. And at the end of the week at camp, you would show a video of the previous year, like either winning state or just the state experience. And I remember I was just look up to that video and oh, that's so cool. I want to be a part of that. Yeah, I went to volleyball games and stuff too, but I don't know why the camps and that video at the end always really stood out. And I was like, I want to be a part of that for sure.
Did you make that video?
Yeah, I made it. I mean, they weren't real high quality. We didn't quite have this kind of stuff that you could really do. But yeah, when we won the state championship, I used to do all the time. I'd make a highlight tape. You guys remember that? Anybody still have their highlight tape?
My wife still does.
I think I do.
She watches at least once a year.
I definitely do.
You have to have a VCR to watch it, but unless you've converted.
I haven't watched in a while.
But yeah, and I enjoyed making those. That took forever back in the day, but yeah, and then you'd show that, and that would, you did it for a reason. You did it for, you wanted girls to say, God, we want to do that. And it must have worked somewhat anyway.
Yeah. I think I had to break that out to show my boys that we used to be pretty good. And I think they finally believed it after they saw the highlight video.
Then I always had to try and find some songs that would kind of fit it, but some of them I used over and over again.
No, it was good.
They were great.
Chrissy watches that. Well, what about just game? Obviously the state championship games you remember, but were there some just other games or other rivals that just really stick out in any of your heads that you can kind of go back to, oh, that was a great moment, or there was another player where you're always up against? You're Taylor, you guys played against Jordan Larson in the state final, right?
Yeah, we had played her a few other times, I think, in the season, but yeah, my senior year we played Logan View. And at the time, that jump serve was something I feel like we hadn't really seen. I mean, we had maybe one other person in our gym, Haley Belt at the time, who was doing jump serving, but so it was kind of hard to prepare for in practice. But it was fun. It's fun to say that you have beat an Olympian and a Husker great in the state volleyball tournament.
I just looked back at that state championship game. I was looking through some stuff, and that was 15-3, 15-5.
I know, it's crazy. I think too, though, it's just the amount of athletes that we had just year after year after year, and the quality and the standard to which we kind of played. It goes to show that our team could easily kind of outbeat just one person. She didn't maybe have the same squad that we kind of had, so it was impressive to think about that. That's the scoring. And I think we were the last team to do side out scoring too. So I think that was the final state tournament before they moved to Raleigh, which is also interesting.
So Jordan, I was at a volleyball camp at UNL, and she was playing down there, and I was sitting there, and pretty soon she comes over and sits down beside me. He says, Coach, we could never beat you guys. I said, well, Jordan, you were maybe were the best player on the team or on the floor, but we had a solid team all the way around. So she remembered it pretty well too. We could never beat you guys. That's a good thing.
Our team, my senior year, I think she was a freshman, and it wasn't the state championship. But did we play in first or second round? I think we had to beat them to get into the championship, but I don't recall. But I do remember playing her because I remember you saying she can't play the front row, all 6 rotation girls. Like she's in the back row, take advantage. And that's,
Right.
I mean, her serve was pretty deadly, but when she was in the back row, no one else could do what she could do. So we just took 3 rotations to make it happen.
Yep.
Well, Michelle, you mentioned a game your sophomore year. Julie was sick, right?
Julia had
that would have been
migraine.
Christy's senior year at Scott that you had to fill in a role.
Yep.
That was an interesting read.
Julia had a migraine, and I think we found out like right when we were getting on the bus or something. And so, of course, they're scrambling, trying to figure out who are we going to put in her spot. So they chose me for that lucky role. And the whole time I was just scared out of my shorts. I was like, Christy, please just don't set me. I may have told her that. But I think she actually knew. I didn't need to tell her that. And then in my mind, I was like, you know what? If she sets me, I'm just going to tip it. I'm going to keep it in play. I'm not going to do anything stupid. And silly. Sorry. We have the bad word police here sitting next to me. But I was so scared, and I'm just thankful I didn't screw it up. We still won, I think.
We did.
Monica, I remember your senior. You mentioned the GICC game your senior year was kind of like the big memory for you. I remember watching that game.
Yeah. Can you hear me? I've been having a bunch of issues. Okay, good. Yeah, that game was, it's wild to think about, especially like the first time we played them that season, they just absolutely kicked our butts, and we just looked so much worse than the year before. So it just seemed impossible at the beginning. And then I remember districts. It was like, finally went to 5 sets. It's like, okay, this is doable. We have a little bit of time left. And then, yeah, just that going up 2-1 on them in that 3rd set. I mean, we let the 4th set go kind of bad, but that 5th set was just wild. I think we were down like 3 or 4 points to start, and it just was, we made it probably about as hard as we could have, but it was just an amazing game.
The atmosphere was unbelievable. It was at the Coliseum, and it was crazy. Our student body was just nuts. And, it was just, you couldn't hear each other, but it was fantastic. They were 35-0, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's right.
They'd beaten us 3 times.
Yep.
But we were lucky. PowerPoints back then got you into the state championship or state tournament.
Yeah.
Had a chance. And I remember one sign that people put up, GICC, because that's what their initials for Grand Island Central Catholic. Our student body or somebody have to put it up there. Grand Island Championship canceled. That was, oh boy, don't give them any fuel for fire there, but it was an incredible night.
All right. Yeah, I remember having in the whole
you got the last kill of the game.
Oh yeah, that was like the perfect ending for me to go out on. It was really just like surreal.
Yeah.
And Jordan, you were the setter on that team.
I was, yes. Little baby sophomore setting, and I'm pretty sure I set Monica probably 75% of the balls because I just could rely on her. And I think everyone knew in the gym the last point is going to go to Monica. I know I set you a hut and you put it down like 1-6 zone, and I was pumped that you killed it and didn't have to do any more when we won. It was great.
Yeah. And honestly, like, what a year to be a sophomore setter like that. I'm sure it was a lot of pressure, and you just did a great job. And that big shoes to fill with Sammy Spinner. So
I know. Oh, Sammy. Yeah. But just chuck it out to Monica. It worked out.
Hope for the best.
Well, you guys all mentioned GICC as the big rival during your tenure. I had Coach pull up some stats. We're not going to talk about the stats though, but your record against GICC over this time frame is pretty remarkable, and a bunch of other teams, but we won't talk about their necessarily specific records out of respect for the opponents if they hear this. But you think about a lot of the big matches with GICC. I know, like with Christie's group, the '97 district final at Central City. There's no wild card then, and that was locked house, overflow crowd, closed circuit. You remember that one?
Oh yeah, and it was win, you go on, lose, you're done. That's what it was now. And well, we were fortunate because we were in the same district and they were really, really good, but we had to get enough points so on the PowerPoint we could still get to the state tournament. And well, no, in Christie's game, no, there was no PowerPoint, so you had to win. And it was a great match. We lost the first set and then won the next two. And Coach Tooley wasn't there because she wasn't that it, and had to go to Des Moines and pick up her adopted son from Korea. And oh my God, it was a great atmosphere, packed.
But you guys all mentioned GICC. I guess what out of a respectable rivalry, wasn't it, or was it more one of those bitter rivals? How would you describe that rivalry? Because there's rivalries of both, really.
I think it was respectable. I mean, I think their players were. I think their coach, isn't it Coach Zavala? I think she's a lot like Mr. Petersen. She was coaching. Did she finally retire? I think she just did not very long ago.
Recently. Yeah, just recently.
My opinion was I thought they were pretty respectful. I remember the Luther girls and obviously Michelle Prorock, who ironically I called, and she was my roommate and teammate at Creighton, so that was kind of funny. But and then Val Week, she was a good player too. I felt like they were always respectful, didn't you, Carmen? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I kind of became friends with some of them actually, but yeah, they were always respectful, and they had those Luther girls and Val. That was your senior year, Jody, and then Jenny Kropp was.
Oh yeah.
That is who we faced because she was my age, and so yeah, they had some big power players for sure.
Yeah, I think
go ahead.
I think the Luther girls, I think one of them, didn't they go to K-State, or is that where Val went to, maybe?
Val and one of the Luther girls went to K-State, yes.
You said Val Week. When I retired, who sent a card to me? Val Week. It was really cool. It was really cool that she did that. I mean, very respectful. I mean, they're good kids.
Yep.
But we wanted to beat them. We loved them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, they were good people, and yeah, like Michelle was in my wedding. We're like good friends now, so it's kind of funny. But anyway, I just remember playing them. I think it was my senior year, Carmen, your freshman year, at home. Did we have like a Labor Day tournament, or was that like one of the first tournaments? And
first tournament.
I think that was
always hotter than hell.
Yes.
Sweaty, like cheering you guys on was, I can't imagine playing in that.
Yeah, and I just remember beating them at home, I believe, my senior year, and that was one match that was super fun because you always have. I feel like it's a better victory or more exciting beating Grand Island for some reason, or Grand Island Central Catholic, but I don't know. That's enough about that.
You guys all have to have a story about Coach Petersen. You guys all have to have at least one.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Be nice.
I was part of the infamous, I've listened to a couple of these podcasts and I've heard it a couple times, the infamous drop kick the ball across the gym and lands in the ball cart perfectly.
Oh, funny.
And then Mrs. Tooley's walking around in between us, telling us not to laugh because it'll just make it worse.
Monica, Monica, I slipped. That's what happened.
Yeah. Slipped and had the perfect drop kick.
All the way over the net to the wall.
Yep.
I never usually kicked a ball. Did I kick a ball any other time? That's the only one I can remember ever kicking a ball.
Hmm.
The only time I remember, because I always remember getting yelled at if we kicked the ball. You picked the volleyball up and you dealt with it with your hands, not your feet.
What about the look? Who got the look from him?
Mm.
Everyone.
I'm sure we all did.
Yeah.
Chrissy talks about the look all the
Mhm.
time.
The setter
And
thing.
actually,
Christy was a
and then,
setter. Yeah. The setters get the look.
Setta's
No, but
got
the
look.
worst is when you knew you were going to get the look and you didn't want to look over there, but you know you had to.
Yeah.
And you knew what was coming.
Yeah, you knew as soon as you looked over there was the look. I was like, I know I deserve the look, but I don't want to look over there.
Or if you tried to ignore him yelling at you and then he started yelling your last name, I felt like you always knew you had to turn because
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't going to get any nicer after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Karma, do you remember that your team? I want to tell you that your team was the only one when you were seniors that ever I kicked out of the gym.
Yeah.
It was an early morning practice,
Yeah.
and we were bad. We were
We
bad.
were getting whooped up on by the JV team.
I couldn't take it. I couldn't
Just
take it.
whooped up on by the JV team.
I said, just get out of here. And well, you guys stared at me like, huh? Do we dare
Yeah.
leave or not?
And then Coach Tully
No.
was like, I think he's serious. You guys better just get on with your day.
Yeah. Hey, and you know
Wow.
what? I remember the next day we had a great practice.
We did, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we did.
That's pretty. Let's talk about that '96 team because that team obviously is one of. I mean, you guys, you, Carmen, Audrey, Stacy Roshi, bless her heart. A lot of you guys played. Even the reserves. Christy. A lot of you guys ended up playing a college
Mhm.
sport,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily volleyball. But talk about your group, your senior year.
Yeah, I think I think that group was just really, I mean, I would use the word gritty. It just was a good group of athletes who were just really fire competitors. I mean, nothing. We were obviously very talented, but I do think that that group of girls combined was just super competitive. And it's fun to kind of look back. I don't think you really realize some of this stuff until you look back on it. Or like I've said, I've got girls that play volleyball now, and it really hits you when you look back at the success we all had and the coaches we had and the teammates and the school. And it just really, I'm more thankful now than ever that we had what we had. And because it's truly special, it's really special. So I think that group was just really competitive and very talented, hard workers. And, I think obviously there's been all kinds of teams like that. I think that every team each year, I mean, it's hard for me to say, was that team more talented than the others? I wouldn't argue that, I think Coach Petersen had us all work together to, be good people and good athletes and good students, and hard work pays off. So I think that's what we had.
If you guys think about too, think about all your groups. They have, like we talked about before we started recording this. They're all intertwined in some way, and for the most part, at some point, not completely covered in the eras, but at some point, you guys were the JV player maybe playing against a varsity player, all at one point or another. Before you became a varsity player, at some point, you're a freshman or JV playing against each other in the gym at different levels. So if you think about that collection of talent, your practices had to be pretty intense, pretty competitive.
We hope that they were, and I think for the most part they were. I mean, I don't think there were very few girls that didn't really want to be players. I think everybody wanted to be able to play, and you all wanted to be competing. You all wanted to be successful. And when you have that kind of attitude, you want to be successful and reach your potential. We won some fantastic matches and we lost a few fantastic matches, but we wanted to really compete. And I think that's what everybody is sitting here or on the screen, I should say, is we're real competitors, and that's what makes you really good if you want to compete. And I think Carmen just said it too. one thing that kind of sets apart with this group is you're all were very good in the classroom. You know, I can't say that any of you girls and most of the people that I coached were good students. You know, and if you're a good student, then you can be a good player. You don't see many girls that are real slackers in school, and then think they can play. So that was one, because I had all you guys in class. And well, I don't say, I'm trying to think who didn't get A's. Oh, I think maybe all of them got A's. But let's just say they all got A's. But they were good students. And you know, I think that's so important. And good teammates. And you know, that's what sets you apart too.
But Coach, I will say that, you know, this is all thanks to you. I mean, when you set a standard the way you do, and, you know, part of being competitive is you want to hit every standard that you're set to hit. And you set a standard really high for academics, for just being a good person, for being a good teammate. It wasn't just about volleyball for you. And that, I think, is why Scotus Volleyball was so successful, is you demanded it, and everybody rose to that occasion for you and with you. And I think that's what makes it so special.
Well, I appreciate that. That's why I love all you guys. I mean, just not that you won state championships or didn't win state championships, but whatever the case may be, you just did everything I wanted you to do and gave everything you had. And that's what's important.
You know, Michelle, you're coaching now. I don't know if anybody else is coaching, but I know Michelle is. I guess, and I obviously never played for Coach Petersen, but a lot of the things I kind of modeled my coaching philosophy off of him and some of the guys that I coached with. But Michelle, I guess as you coach now, do you try to implement some of those things? And it's a different world now, but the base fundamental principles and the standard is still there. That doesn't change.
No. I mean, the pace of the game, maybe some technique stuff, but really and truly the fundamentals don't change. And I laugh all the time, you know, attitude and effort, right? Like the license plate covers, I think of the keychains, but it's really true, you know, like if they can give me attitude and effort, you know, we can do good things. But I didn't, like Carmen said, she didn't really realize when she was in it how awesome and how successful we really were until now. Like I went to Newman and they were like, we just want to go to state. And I was like, what? You don't want to win? And I think that was the first time I really realized how special it was what we were a part of. You know, we just did it because it was who we were and, you know, part of our identity. And here were these girls who had never been to state, period. And they just wanted to get there. And I think that's when I first realized, I was like, oh, wow, that was really cool. I mean, there's not a day that goes by that I don't implement something that Coach Petersen, I mean, he still gives me his notes, let's be honest.
Speaking of his notes, you guys all mentioned his graph paper notes, practice plans. We got some laughs out there now. I kind of chuckle when I was doing this a lot at work, but I start chuckling too. But talk about his attention to detail and just little things. I mean, Megan Tooley, like, do you recall that even back?
Oh yeah, he had his, you know, agenda. It was followed to the T.
Broken down by the minute.
Basketball, his perfect little handwriting. Yeah,
Oh, not anymore.
Totally. And I remember people would try to sneak on the side, like when he was trying to teach a drill, someone would try to sneak to see what conditioning was.
100%. We did it too.
Probably more for basketball to see if we had to do 13, 14s or not, because that was like the worst.
they were.
Yeah. He always had that little leather case. You just had to peek in there. What we were running 30-second drills. What was the conditioning today? As if it was going to make it any better knowing, right? You still had to do it.
Right. Maybe just know it's like calming your anxiety or something.
Right.
Little mental preparation. Yeah.
Taylor, you mentioned the music in the gym as something that kind of stuck out to you. Was that, did you guys all get experience that? Taylor, you mentioned that specifically.
Yeah, I think it was like kind of the day before a game, we'd get to have music on, and I think it just kind of made it a little more fun and getting to scrimmage each other and seemed a little more lighthearted maybe instead of constant drills that day. So just a little bit of fun for a game.
I remember the music, but I remember it as a lead into state because it was so loud in those gyms that we would get to play with not the two courts, but the one net, right? And then they would crank the music up, so we would have to like really yell for the ball to get used to being, because we didn't play all the games in the big auditorium, right? You'd be at like a high school in Lincoln, and the fans would be right up there, and Scotus would bring the whole community to those games. They were loud, good environments.
You guys, a lot of you also mentioned is one of his favorite quotes is "Attitude is everything." Kind of expand on that a little bit, or how's that resonated with you still? I mean, not necessarily in college athletics, but like your life now. Do you kind of look back on that, and because we all go through tough times, right? We all go through tough times at some point in our life, whether it's a family issue or work or whatever it may be. So do you kind of reflect back on those moments and like, okay, that makes sense?
Yeah, I think like personal stuff, going through personal stuff, but I feel like I always go into it with the mentality of, well, I'm not going to stress and be pessimistic about it, so I know for sure how bad things are. I think even with work, as lame as it is, just like if you're dealing with somebody difficult, you go in with a better attitude. Typically, the circumstances are better. So I think that's a big thing that can carry into any aspect of your life, really. And I think I definitely learned that through this. And I do remember being very upset every summer that I did not win one of those keychains.
I guess I should have ordered one for everybody, probably, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
What were the keychains for?
Well, it just said it was a keychain. I said this is the most important prize you could win, and it said on there, "Attitude is everything."
Okay.
And I'd usually give out maybe 5. I don't know. It was a drawing. It wasn't like Monica had the best practice, so she got one. It was at camp, and I always said that it was better than getting a volleyball. Was that
Yeah.
chain was the gold standard? At least I thought so.
I agree with that.
Did anybody else get one of those?
I was lucky enough to win the drawing one year. I had that keychain for a long time, and then I'm remembering this now. I left my keys in my car, parked in my driveway one night as a dumb teenager, and my car got broken into, and my keys got stolen along with my Attitude is Everything keychain. I was really upset about that. They stole some other stuff in my car, but took my keys and my keychain.
I still have one. Sometimes I look at it and it says, "You better change your attitude, young man," or old man. So, I think it was pretty important.
Yeah. A little mantra. People come up to you and you start talking with them, or you meet them for the first time. You're like, "Oh, where'd you go to high school?" "I went to Scotus. I played volleyball at Scotus." Does that kind of like, oh, really? Does that kind of pique a discussion between you guys or whoever you meet in those moments?
Yeah, I play a lot of adult volleyball in like Lincoln and Omaha still, and we meet new people all the time, and I'll tell them I went to SCOTUS, and it's usually like oh, like this makes sense why you're here and still playing all the time. So yeah, and then I'm pretty good friends with Joe Wessel, coaches at Millard West, and I'll tell him he had a good game or something. He's like, "Well, I'm no Petersen, but thank you."
Yeah, I think overall, when you tell people you went to SCOTUS, there's just like a sense of pride with it. And I think that's kind of the tradition or the reputation that has been built around it. And I think, like Carmen said, it all kind of funnels back to Mr. Petersen and kind of the traditions he created. And just, I think we all feel very thankful, and you probably don't know that enough, that we played for you. We all kind of just landed at this high school. And especially, I was thinking about the other day, now, kids start playing volleyball in like second grade. I have boys, so I don't know, but it's just a whole different ball game with kids starting so young and then they're kind of siloed into one sport, where I feel like we had a really different experience playing. Like, you encourage 3 sport athletes, and I remember you telling us we wouldn't start unless you played basketball. Like, you're not going to start in volleyball unless you play basketball. And I just think it's just a different time now. But I feel grateful that I didn't play club, because I feel like I would have been so burnt out in college if I would have, particularly. I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel. Carmen, like, did you play club? I don't even know.
I played 1 year just to basically try to go get recruited, you know? I don't know. I did play 1 year. I played with Jenny Kropp and the Luther girls. I played, or Clayton Luther, their dad, was like the program director. It was out of Grand Island. And yeah, I only played 1 year.
But don't you see that how different it is, like with your daughters? Like, it's just night and day.
Yeah. My girls are volleyball lovers, and I worry about that all the time. I mean, my oldest daughter's in school ball now, and then she starts club ball immediately when she's done, and she plays club until nationals are done in July, you know? So it's crazy.
And a lot of money.
Yeah, tell me about it. I got to keep working.
Yeah.
I got 5 grandkids, and I don't even want to ask how much money how much money they've spent on those 5. But it is different, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. We just didn't do very much of it, because we did try and we wanted you to be at least 2 sport athletes. And you know, and then where Columbus is situated, it's kind of hard to expect people to run down to Lincoln or Omaha to play consistently, you know, and very few girls did that. And, you know, a lot of people say, well, when did you start them? Well, what age? Well, we didn't start when they were 2nd grade either. And, you know, but I was fortunate because my junior high coaches were good. And Julie Blas was a great freshman coach, and Coach Tooley was a great assistant. And, you know, they were all with me for nearly all of you guys. And they were really good coaches too. And so maybe we got away with it because of what our expectations were, how hard. Obviously I had great athletes, really good athletes, but, you know, it was hard to do. You know, it's pretty tough to be a basketball player and then run down to Omaha or Lincoln after practice. It's just tough to do. And, you know, if you did it, that was fine, but it was, you know how hard it is. So
for sure. No, I think it's a great compliment, obviously, to Scotus, to you and the foundation you built, that basically you look at those stats that Jon read from the beginning, that you or the school and us all accomplished that without that extra training, I think says a lot. So thank you. We do appreciate you a lot, even though we like to tease you a lot.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
No, it was such a great time, and you just, I don't know, found a way of always pulling the best out of everybody. I know my dad would always say that every year you'd go to the booster club meeting or something. You're like, well, I don't know how we're going to be this year. You know, you lost so-and-so and so-and-so, and then you would just crush it, you know. So he's like, I don't know what he's talking about.
Well, this was before school started, and you were talking about the football coach, Jim Pitts, would go up. Of course, he was a kill. I mean, he could make everybody laugh without never tell a joke. And I'd usually go before him, thank goodness. But I'd go up, Gary Pitts, he'd bring out a towel. Well, here's your crying towel. So I had to play it up. You know, we can't be very good this year. How can we be any good? Jody Chalaha's gone. We just got Carmen Brewer. I don't know if she's going to be any good. You know, you tell stuff like that. And so, but, you know, you never want to say, oh, we're going to be absolutely great. You know, you couldn't do that. So it was, yeah, your dad, but I think they got a kick out of that. But
you guys all mentioned also, like, whether you were going into like playing college sports. Some of you played college sports. You all referenced there was a difference between the for some of you, there was a big difference between how a high school practice was run with coach versus some of the programs you guys went to. I mean, kind of elaborate that on just a little bit. Maybe have a bit greater appreciation for how you were coached after you got into college.
I'll share. I think I definitely commented on that. So, I mean, I basically got recruited because I was from Scotus. My college coach was like, "Ooh, I've always wanted to have coach one of Coach Petersen's players." So I was the lucky token Scotus person. But I mean, we had people falling on the floor laughing in the middle of practice, and I was the one serious one off in the corner, like, are we going to get something done today? And we were horrible. It was almost like a step down, to be honest, because we played at such a high level and there was just such a high level of expectation. And that just wasn't necessarily upheld at the college level, which was unfortunate for me. But
What about like alumni volleyball when you guys all get back? So, you guys do that every couple of years, but is there some competitive, like some of you may not play anymore, but when you were playing, was that kind of a competitive desire? Was that fun for you to watch when you would go back and watch them coach?
Sometimes it was brutal.
It was for sure competitive.
Oh, Nick, did those guys win anything? What's wrong? Can't jump over a pencil anymore. No. Yeah, it's fun to watch it. Well, it's more fun just to see them out there and talk to them and play with. I mean, I always enjoy every chance I get. And I get to see Jordan more than any of the rest of you because she's around Scotus quite a bit. I see Michelle once in a while, but I just love talking to you. I love seeing you because I appreciate the kind of people that you are. Not how many championships you won or didn't win, just the kind of people that you are. And that's why we won.
Well, I think as we go and kind of approach the final stuff here, I guess. If you reflect a little bit, just kind of on your life now, your parents, you guys are parents now, and kind of some of those principles, I guess. Do you ever find yourself kind of talking, and kind of sharing maybe a message or two that you learned? Have you ever busted out the attitude is everything on one of your kids once? Some of those old different principles. Has Luca heard that yet, Jordan?
Not that exact phrase, but definitely.
Has Tyler heard it?
Tyler has not. Tyler also comes from like a very successful football program, so we both are. I feel like, I don't know, use our past experiences to really lay down the law with Luca. But I'll need to get the attitudes everything when he can understand it more because he's still a little small. But I'll keep that in the back of my mind.
Oh. Well, on a regular podcast, we always say, describe Scotus Central Catholic in one word. But, obviously we're talking about volleyball. So how would you describe the volleyball program in one word? I want each of you to answer this one, and then we're going to finish with Coach Petersen on this one.
My word was iconic. I don't know. It's kind of self-explanatory. Like you said before, when people say, "Oh, you played for Scotus," I feel like that's just like very iconic. The past how many years they kind of know it's a volleyball school. So that was the word I chose.
It's a great word. I said legendary. It's got its story, its history.
I said unrivaled. I think just again the coaching staff all around and the people that we got to play with and look up to as I watched all these other, ladies play before me and came after me. I think it was just a really amazing time. So mine was unrivaled.
I chose relentless. I felt like that was a Mr. Petersen word as well. And just, it didn't matter how successful we were, like in a game or a match, it was like you expected that and just kept coming back for more. And I felt like that's just Scotus, just kind of the whole mantra of what Scotus did. And I feel like, very fortunate that I got to go to school there and have awesome coaches and teammates.
I said admired. both from people who are in the program in the school and those outside of it. I think we touched on that earlier, that a lot of people wanted to be a part of us, and that's a pretty cool thing to have. So I think I admire what I went through and who I met and all that, and I think a lot of people admired us for what we had.
Yeah, and I think I had originally said tradition, but then I had kind of also mentioned success, not just that we had success, but the kind of the drive that we all had to be successful, which in turn led to success. But just like that expectation of having success and going and getting it. So that was mine.
I said disciplined. I think we probably beat a lot of teams that maybe had maybe more true athleticism on the team, just because we were so heavily disciplined and technique focused. And that's one of the things I try and bring, to my girls. And I think that it's served us well. I just think if you can be really disciplined, you can be consistently good.
I said storybook. I just don't think you could write it any better if you tried. The wins, the losses, all of it. I just think it's the Dynasty Award is much deserved for you, coach, your coaching staff, for all the girls that were a part of it. I just think that was a storybook was my word. I think it was really describes the course that you led all these different players through.
Coach? I didn't know I was supposed to get a word, but here's what I think. The word is fortunate. I'm so fortunate to be that I ended up in a place like Scotus, because I tell people all the time, I couldn't have been in a better place to teach or to coach, and I was so fortunate to end up with a coaching staff that was with me for 20, 25 years for the main part. And then, of course, all the girls like you guys. I was just so fortunate that I was able to find or have girls that, not only were talented, but were willing to put in the work, and were great teammates, and again, great people. So I feel like I've been blessed that I got put in this situation. I didn't do any of this by myself, that's for sure. We did it all together. All you guys are in a different kind of years primarily, but all of you, every one of you had great success. And yeah, Taylor didn't lose a game. That's pretty crazy. But you all won a lot of matches. But more than that, you're in the respect of everybody that you played against because of how hard you played, the kind of teammates you were. You did it right. You never complained, at least maybe behind my back. I don't know. I'm sure you do. We all complain at some point in time. But, I'm just fortunate that I got put in a situation where I had a group of girls like you guys. And I love you. I always will love you. And I can't tell you how much I respect and admire all of you, because I know you've all been very successful in everything that you do today, just because of the kind of people that you are.
I think that's a great answer. You guys all had great answers.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Coach.
Ladies, I want to thank you guys all for taking the time to come on the show tonight. Coach Pete, thanks for coming over tonight. This was fun to kind of go down a little memory lane here. And obviously, congratulations to all of you, the volleyball program, on this award. And September 14th is going to be a really cool deal for all you guys to be recognized. There's going to be a great turnout, it sounds like. What'd you say, 71 girls 71 women coming back?
71 women, yeah.
Pretty remarkable. You guys are just part of one of the greatest program in high school sports. So, again, thank you guys for coming on tonight. Congratulations on the award, and thanks for coming into the Shamrock Green Room.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
I got to tell you one more thing. For those of you that are going to be there, and most of you are, We just figured out today we were having a hard time what we were going to do afterwards. We couldn't find a place that would get, because there would probably be over 100 people. I mean, 71 girls, and some of you will be bringing your husbands or maybe kids or boyfriends or family of some type. But we finally got one today. I talked to the head of the Coaches Association, gave me a hint. Coach Tooley's kind of been in charge of it, and she's probably called 8 or 9 different places. And we were too big, too many people, they couldn't handle it. But I'm gonna send it out to some of you, or a lot of you are gonna get one that you can give to your classmates, teammates. Then we're gonna go to Barry's downtown in Lincoln. I don't know if some of you know where that's at. So
I'm sure they all know where it's at. They've probably all been there.
Those guys,
Possibly.
they're all old enough now. Yes, it's okay. But so it's Barry's. It'll be right after, the program will last for about 2 hours. I get to talk for 3 or 4 minutes. So we'll be up on the stage and then we'll be off the stage about that quick. But the main thing is we can all gather afterwards. And so we found a place because I was so worried that we were going to have to go. So I didn't know what we were going to do, but we got it done today. So I'll be sending out information.
Well, that'll be a great way to wrap up the night. So looking forward to that day for you guys all. So again, thanks a lot, ladies. If you're interested in hearing more Shamrock Green Room episodes, subscribe to us and rate us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Make sure to follow us on our social media channels, Scotus Central Catholic on Facebook, X, and YouTube, and Columbus Catholic Schools on Instagram. If you have some ideas for some guests on the podcast, please email me at coachbrez@gmail.com. Thank you again for joining us in the Shamrock Green Room.